Hello, in this section we're going to take a look at our Sky Perspective tool. So I have a scene preloaded with the Sky Perspective. So click on the button within the toolbar and you'll see that a list of buttons will appear on the left and right, and depending on how the tool is set up, in this mode I've got text labels, so you can then bring in particular labels to perhaps show which players are the players of interest, and where the audience should focus. So this is the way that you can use the Sky Perspective tool to allow the presenter to have a list of selections that they can bring into the scene to help them annotate and focus the viewers. So in the next section we'll take a look at how we can set up the Sky Perspective tool to work in slightly different ways. Also remember that with the Sky Perspective tool you've also got layering, so you can go behind, you can go in front, so you can use this tool in a number of different ways for different applications. Okay, so let's have a look at how we can set up the Sky Perspective tool for different applications. So here I'm going to start from scratch, so let's click on New Scene. I click on Background. I'm going to bring in a still image, and let's choose something slightly different. Let's go with that. Okay, so we'll click on Full. Okay, so we've now got a background. We click on the Tools button and we're going to click on Sky Perspective. Okay, so now we've added in the tool inside the toolbar. We're going to click and hold on that tool to pop open the configuration menu, and you can see from the File section that we currently have no files loaded. So let's click on that and click on Add. And what we're going to do is go into the Sky Perspective HD folder, which is in the Point Samples directory. So if we go in Sky Perspective, click on Sports, let's click on Football, and let's click on say that Arsenal. Okay, so now we've got some graphics brought in. We can actually click on OK, and now when we select the tool, we can see our list of players being brought up either side. So this then allows you to select whichever graphic or player that you want and bring them onto the screen. And now remember that you've also got layering within the system, so you can take any graphic in front or behind. So if you're trying to explain or show a particular player move, this is quite useful. Now let's add in maybe a different file. So you can either have two or more buttons, each pointing to a particular set of graphics, or you can add a number of graphics to the same button. So I'm going to do the same to this. So I'm going to click on Add, and this time I'm just going to add in some name folders. So let's just go into that, and okay, so we've got some name tags up here, so we'll click on OK, and let's clear that. And now what you will notice is that we've got this extra next and previous button. That's because whenever you have more than one file list loaded within the Sky Perspective, you get this button that allows you to toggle between the two sets of graphics that you've got there. So in this one we had our football shirts, and if I click on Next, then I can now bring in my textual labels. So as you can see, you can set this Sky Perspective tool to work in a number of different ways. Now let's have a look at something a little bit more in depth. So if we click on Sky Perspective once more, and I'll go into my files. Let's say we don't want that second set of graphics. Easy enough, just click on remove and we're back down to our first set. Okay, so now we can also adjust the size of the graphics if we want to. That can all be done from here. And if I click on that once more, you will notice that in the main configuration panel we've also got our perspective, and currently it's set on default. So if we click on that, you'll notice that you'll get a red rectangle, and basically what you do is that you just click on one of the corners and move that in slightly inwards, okay, not by a great deal but just a little bit, and click on this tick button which gets hidden behind this web lock. So click on OK, and now that you've accepted that, what will happen is that when we now bring in our graphics, as the graphics move towards the top of the screen, you'll see that they get slightly smaller, and as they get towards the bottom they get slightly bigger. So it gives us a sense of perspective or depth within the actual graphics and the display. Okay, so that's how we can set up the Sky Perspective tool, and once you're all set, don't forget to hit close and save that. Okay, so let's have a look at how we can set up the Sky Perspective team list in a little bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is go to my library, and in my documents I've put the point samples folder within this location. So if I double click on that, and if we go into Sky Perspective, I'm going to go into sports and football, and let's have a look at the Arsenal kit folder. So basically you can make up a folder if you're going to use Sky Perspective or any of the other tools. You can put a folder anywhere on your system, and basically if we look inside the folder, you can have all of the team graphics within here. So each one of these graphics needs to be a 32-bit Targa file in the PC format, and the Targa needs to be uncompressed. So if you're making up your own Targa graphics, then make sure that they're set for an uncompressed mode. Okay, so the folder needs to have all of the graphics that you could possibly want to use within that team, and the buttons that are displayed in the Sky Perspective are defined by a text file. Now this text file should only be created or modified in Notepad. Don't do it in Word or any other editing program, because other editing programs actually put hidden characters which will then cause errors when you're trying to load up this particular file. So okay, if we double click on the text file, then have a look at that. Basically all the text file is going to do is the first line is ignored by the program. It's just there for a reference, so that I know what this file is actually about. So it's called Arsenal Sky Perspective tool, and the way that it's defined is that 1.tga is my first graphic that I want to load up. So you add the file name first, which is 1.tga or whatever you've called it, then a comma, and then the next bit of text that you type in after the comma, this is what the label is actually going to be named with. So in this case we've got Taylor and each one of the player names. So basically the reason why we would probably recommend that, let's say you're using this in a soccer application, that you name it 1.tga etc. I would suggest that you just use the player shirt numbers. That way, if a team has 40 players, say they could pick 11 from, in this folder you would have all 40 graphics ready to use, and depending upon which 11 players you want to display, you can then just edit the number files and the label files. So once you've made your changes, then you can simply click on File, click on Save, and once that's saved, you can then use that within the Sky Perspective tool to bring up the list of buttons that the presenter would have.